You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, the 29th annual Greenbush Day happened over the weekend while raising money for a good cause.
Also, Pitt State hosts a family fun day to get the community more involved with the school.
And we've got ourselves a pretty decent day out there today, maybe an isolated shower or two. We'll have a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Noe.
And I'm Chris Warner, just after 7 o'clock on this Monday morning.
Oh, here we are.
We are. You know, the mamas and papas warned us about Mondays.
Oh, yeah.
And how much you cannot trust those. I keep forgetting that you're like 8 years old compared to me. And my parents were older, okay, when I was born. So. Yeah. It's an old song. You'll have to look it up. For you folks at home, you probably know what I'm talking about. Lori was nutty. She knows what I'm talking about, but Elise has no idea who the mamas and papas are.
Oblivious over here. That's fine. It's okay. It's
that's me with modern stuff today.
Well, in other news, Pittsburgh State held a family fun day to get kids excited for the football game Saturday night.
KOAM's Mitch Adams has the story.
For our families to come that maybe are local or are alumni, bring their kids back to, again, experience what they love so much about their alma mater. So that is the important piece of Family Day and is why I think we always have such a great turnout.
Pittsburgh State University held Family Fun Day, an activity-based event at the Overman Student Center for kids and their guardians. Local companies, campus reps, and community members set up at different stations in the building. Rotations were on a 25-minute time slot to ensure the kids had time to enjoy each activity.
We have about 400 people who checked in. They have some rotations. They will go up to the ballrooms and they'll have karate. Pittsco Education is here doing a group. We'll have ultimate art, and then our friends from Nature Reach are here with some animals too.
The art station, run by the Pitt State Art Department Chair James Oliver, is a fun way to let the kids flex their artistic muscles.
So with our activity, it allows the kids a little artistic outlet. Most kids like to color, most kids like to draw, and so this takes their drawing and puts it sort of the beginning of putting it in a position to be ready to exhibit.
The activities at this event are designed for children 3 to 12 years of age, but people of all ages, alumni or not, made great memories on campus. Reporting from Pittsburgh State University, Mitch Adams, KOAM News.
The cost of admission was $12 per child and included a Pitt State gift bag, a meal voucher for food vendors at the game, and access to all of the activities at the Student Center.
Certainly a lot of fun and a great weekend to have a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
You know, it's pretty decent out there, a little breezy, but you know, that's not bad.
No,
you can open up the windows, air out the house a little bit, and not really going to have that opportunity over the next several days as we start to heat up, but let's get you out the door today, starting with this. This is our camera downtown Pittsburgh. Looking back toward the east-ish, it's roughly east-northeast. I mean, if you're in Pittsburgh, you know where we're looking. So we got the sun rising, but we also have this cloud shield out here. It's kind of blocking it right now, but we're otherwise partly cloudy. Now, on the Joplin side of things, our camera 7th and range line, we are mostly cloudy this morning with that clear off toward the north out there. And as we head to the MoDOT camera 20th and range line, great kind of shot of these clouds where you can see those clear skies in the horizon, but overhead it's like Independence Day. You folks at home again know what I'm talking about when the spaceships arrive and kind of darken the sky. That's about what that looks like. Fog tracker, we do have some slightly reduced visibilities by Iola. We've been dealing with that fog nearly every morning down by Grand Lake, but at least on here it has cleared out. But just, you know, be aware, watch out, be cautious, don't be silly when you're driving this morning. If you run into fog, slow down. It's not worth it to arrive, that much earlier by driving dangerously through foggy conditions. All right, today, east of I-49, between, again, roughly 2 and 5 is the best window at this point. There could be an isolated shower or thunderstorm. The rest of us will be dry, and it'll be breezy again today. East winds gusting upwards of 20, 25 miles an hour. Joplin sitting at 66. Pittsburgh is at 64 this morning, and temperatures around the region. Cool spot is 61. Iola and Nevada both tied up there. Warm spot right now, Bentonville sitting at 70, and a mixed bag of 60s in between. Today, partly cloudy skies again east of I-49, maybe an isolated storm or two. Highs right around the mid-80s, so near average. We're going to start to heat up, though, over the next few days. We still have that cold front showing up toward the end of this week. We'll talk about all that in the full forecast in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, Adult Literacy, a nonprofit organization that helps adults learn to read and increase basic literacy skills, announced it has received a $10,000 grant from the U.S. Bank Foundation. Now, the grant will be used to support vibrant adult literacy programs, as well as being a quarterly financial literacy class through U.S. Bank. A check's presentation took place yesterday at the MSSU soccer field. U.S. Bank Community Affairs Manager said, quote, "We're proud to work with organizations like NALA Adult Literacy to help gain greater financial literacy and build thriving communities." A rally in the park event was held yesterday for the community in Carthage. The Bridge, a Christian church located in Carthage, organized the event. Now, activities started with a 5K run and walk that was followed by an outdoor church service, a car show, inflatables for kids, and free face painting. They were all available as well.
We want our neighbors to know how much we appreciate them and invite them and their children to be a part of what we're doing here today, to provide entertainment through a car show. Yes, it serves as a fundraiser, but it's also entertainment for the family.
After the service, burgers were provided to people in attendance at no cost. The 29th annual Greenbush Day happened yesterday, and it's raising money for the St. Aloysius Historical Society. Now, the Historical Society maintains the grounds of the church and some of the surrounding area. Now, the event included a community potluck, horse rides, music, and an antique car show featuring cars like a Ford Model A that was also there for people to enjoy. Now, the Historical Society was hoping to raise $2,000 yesterday. Well, Pittsburg State University kicks off Hispanic Heritage Month with its first Hispanic musical festival yesterday in the Bicknell Center for the Arts. The Hispanic Banda performance is one of many that'll take place throughout September and October. Some songs performed yesterday by the banda include Bella Ciao, Funky Town, and more. Special guest performances took place throughout the festival.
I want them to keep to take away happiness. So I want them to go out from the concert like super excited and looking forward for the next one. I think that's the main goal. If we get it, hopefully we can do it again next year. So that's the idea, just people having fun.
The concerts were free and open to the community to attend. And those are our top news stories this half hour. Coming up next, Lori Horton joins us back in the studio to finish up her apple cider donut cake. And later, citizens in Sarcoxy celebrate Chief Sarcoxy Days with events for the whole family. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Well, welcome back. Lori Horton from Celebrations by Lori has been showing us her recipe for apple cider donut cake, and it already looks so amazing. So what's next?
I know. We started out so simply this morning with our cake mix. We added that apple cider, good quality apple cider, and some applesauce. None of the ingredients on the box except the eggs, but we've got a good basic batter here, and you can kind of see it's just a normal, not too thick, not too thin. We're going to bake this in a regular size bundt pan, and this needs to be greased and floured, or use your baking spray.
Yes.
We love the baking spray. Makes life so much easier. But just make sure when you come to a bundt pan, bring that all the way up to the sides, and don't forget to spray the center post.
Absolutely.
That's
important.
an easy one to miss, and then it really sticks and you'll get those little pieces. Still tastes great, just doesn't come out well. So as we put this in the pan, it's not going to overfill it. So this is going to be one really nice as you bake it. It's going to level out well in the oven. So you don't have to cut anything off the bottom when it comes out. It's going to lay nicely on your little cake platter or whatever you might want to put that on. So you'll see it's about half full in my pan. A little hard to tip that without changing that situation, but it's just about half full, so it's not a super tall bun. But you want to tap this a little bit before you put it in the oven. That's really important because we get those air bubbles out of that. You see them come to the top, pop right out of there. So keeps those pockets from being in there when you turn that out. And sometimes that helps too with the sticking. If you get those air bubbles that are close to the side, they can have those little chunks. It just doesn't look as nice when it comes out either. So now I'm going to come back. I baked this for about 30 minutes exactly yesterday. So it's going to depend a little bit on your weather. This is a really nice, moist, dense cake. So if it's a little rainy and it's a little, heavier outside, it's going to bake for a little bit different temperature. Good toothpick test, the classic, right? So it's nice and cool in here.
Okay.
My butter is setting up quickly. But once that comes out of the oven, you want to let it rest in the pan until you can comfortably touch the pan. It
Okay.
can still be warm,
Yeah.
but you'll turn that out onto a platter, a cake plate, whatever you want to use. And then you want to leave it to cool completely. Because we want to
Patience
do
is key
that.
for this one.
I know. I know, it's hard. You can even leave it to cool overnight if
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to. You don't have to do this immediately. But then you're going to come back with a little bit of slightly more melted butter than what I'm going to have here because it's starting to set up quickly in this cool studio. But we're going to just kind of layer this on the top. We want to brush it over the edges and get it all the way around into those little nooks and crannies. Now don't treat this like a glaze. You don't want a ton of it on there.
Okay. That's
What
good to
this
know.
is going to do is just give our cinnamon and sugar mixture that I have here something to stick to.
Some glue, yeah.
Yeah. And then we're going to sprinkle this very generously with just some cinnamon and sugar. I like about a 2-to-1 mixture, 2 cinnamon or 2 sugar to 1 cinnamon. You can use your personal preference on that. If you like it a little bit sweeter, you like it a
Ooh,
little
yeah.
more cinnamon. You can even add a little apple pie spice to that if you
Ooh,
want
delicious,
to. That
yeah.
goes really
Yeah.
well with that applesauce and everything we put in there. And then our last step when we come back, we're going to make a glaze or kind of a dipping sauce
Ooh, delicious.
for our slices. Yeah.
Delicious. Well, it already looks so good. I can't wait to see what's next. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Lori is with us this morning, and she's sharing with us her last few steps to this delicious apple cider donut cake. So what are the last few steps, Lori?
Well, it's great as it is
Right.
right now. We can stop here, but as you guys know, I never stop here. So
We love it.
our last step for the top, we can use this as kind of a glaze, or what I really think is fun, and I have this very random little cup here, but it fits so perfectly in the center of my bundt pan.
Yeah.
And I love to do stuff like this and have kind of more of like a little dip in
Oh,
the center
how
to
fun.
it. You can cut your bundt slices a little bit skinnier, get a few more servings out of it, but it just makes it a little bit interesting. So what I've got in my bowl here is just a little bit of powdered sugar, and I'm going to add to it just some more of my apple cider, you know, just a little splash of that in there, a little bit of cinnamon, and that's totally your taste on that. And you can add just even a little dash of vanilla to kind of mellow that out a little bit. You
Sure.
can see I'm using my grandma measures here. Little this, little of that. And we're going to whisk this together so that it's just nice and smooth. And you can really smell that apple. You can really smell the
It
the
smells so
cider in
great.
there.
It smells like fall.
So nice. I may have just a little bit. I may want just a bit more powdered sugar in this. It's going to be a little bit thin. So this is going to be a little more of our glaze consistency, very liquid.
Right.
It takes a little bit for the powdered sugar to dissolve.
Okay,
So
yeah.
you do have to kind of whisk this for a couple minutes
Work
and just
on it,
make
yeah.
sure that you
It
get all
smells
those little
amazing.
lumps.
So
nice.
good. Oh.
So nice. And you can even make more of a set glaze when you do this. You can just take a little bit heavy whipping cream.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
The heavy whipping cream with a little dash of powdered sugar and a splash of the apple cider, or even just the cinnamon, the apple pie spice, any of those mixed together. And we've done glazes on a lot of different things on past recipes, but it's so simple. And those will set up a little bit nicer. So if you're
Okay.
taking this to a family
Perfect.
event, you
Yeah.
know, you maybe want to do it the day before, go with that, cool your cake completely, add about a half a cup of heavy whipping cream with just a little bit of the powdered sugar in there and whatever extra flavor you want to add. So I
Lots
need
of
about
options, yeah.
I know, so many
So
options.
easy,
And
yeah.
you know, we talked about when we started that you can even kind of do some experimenting a little bit with what flavor of cake mix that you like on that. Maybe
Yes.
start with a spice cake or even just a white cake. You can really mix it up. If you go with a heavier flavored cake, you just lose a little bit of the apple coming through, because again, you can make a box mix with
Yeah.
applesauce, as I'm sure that you have done, without the eggs and the oil
Sure.
and all the
Yes.
things. But you notice you don't really taste the apple. So if you
good to
do
know.
that, yeah, you kind of boost that a little bit. So I'm really close here. Again, I've got a nice thin glaze consistency here, but it's hard to see on there, so my bowl's not very deep. But it just takes that couple minutes to get the powdered
Right.
sugar fully dissolved. So this I can pour then into my little cup, add a little splash around on the edge, and then you get this really nice dense cake texture
Ooh,
to it.
delicious.
And it's perfect for cutting into little cubes, adding this even to like a dessert charcuterie with those dips
Ooh.
on the side. So highly recommend. Great
Yes,
fall recipe.
Absolutely.
Ready to go.
All right, Lori. Well, as always, thanks so much for being with us this morning. We're back with more right after this.
Here's a phone company who wants us to use our phones.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:22 now. On this Monday morning, we're starting the live look from our camera downtown Pittsburgh. There's the sun making it above that little cloud shield that's been off to the east all morning. And as we head down to Joplin, we're getting a little more sunlight, still mostly cloudy skies overhead, but wow, just look at the coloring on that too. That's a fantastic start to the day otherwise. MoDOT camera 20th and range line. Cloud cover still prohibiting some sunlight down here, but we're getting it starting to show up out there. And KDOT camera 69 and Kansas crossing. You can see back off in the distance, the sun's starting to peek through the trees, which means eventually we're going to see it right here across the intersection as well. Future track for today, if you are east or long and east of I-49, a slight chance of an isolated shower or thunderstorm. The better chance for anything, which will be relatively limited, is going to be between 2 and 5 at this point. Looks to be the best window. But take a look at how fast these wind arrows are moving. It's going to be breezy today as well. East winds 5 to 15, gusting upwards of 20 to 25 miles an hour. The rest of us, though, will just be partly cloudy through the day. We'll be mostly clear overnight. We'll have another mostly clear day on our Thursday. My goodness, I'm skipping ahead a few days. On our Tuesday, be mostly clear skies. We head into our Wednesday, and it's going to be the same situation. We're looking at partly cloudy skies out there. Now, the other thing, though, that we're looking at is our temperatures going above normal, and that will start tomorrow and continue for the next several days. Right now in Joplin, the Joplin station is mostly back up. If you were with us on the KOAM side, all morning long, the automated station in Joplin at the airport had been down, and other than the pressure, it's just about got everything else back up. So again, mostly cloudy, 66, east breeze at about 7 miles an hour. We've got a myriad of 60s out there. 60, the cool spot in Fort Scott, 70, the warm spot in Bentonville, and in between that, low, mid, upper 60s, so not a bad start to the day for us. As we get the day going, we're looking at partly cloudy skies, about the mid 60s by 8 o'clock this morning, upper 70s by the time we reach the late morning hours out there. Our highs today relatively close to average. We're going to go into the mid 80s. We'll have the partly cloudy skies, and again along and east of I-49, an opportunity for an isolated shower or thunderstorm. The majority of us, though, today will be dry. Mostly clear through the evening, upper 60s by 10. We'll fall back in the low to mid 60s overnight. Now, last week, we talked about it virtually every day last week. There was a cold front showing up on the long-range data, and the good news is it's still there. But between here and there, we're going to be above normal and a little on the muggy side. Low 90s into Friday. By the end of this week, though, that cold front shows up. Ahead of it, it starts to bring some isolated to widely scattered showers and thunderstorms, and those continue, or at least those chances continue all the way into Monday. But take a look at what happens once that cold front rolls through. We start falling back. We'll even go into the low 80s Saturday and Sunday, and then there. Now I'm out of the way. Take a look at Tuesday and Wednesday next week. Temperatures could fall back into the upper 70s. So all we got to do is get through a few days of unpleasant conditions, and then things are going to get pretty darn nice. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more after this.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28. I'm Elise Snowy. A DWI investigation is underway following a rollover crash in Sarcoxie, Missouri. Just before 1 p.m. Saturday, reports of a rollover crash at 5th and High alerted Jasper County 911. Sarcoxie Rural Fire, Sarcoxie Police, and Mercy Ambulance responded. On scene, we learned a single vehicle was traveling westbound on High. It overturned numerous times, witnesses say. Police say it traveled 264 feet before coming to a stop. The driver, an adult female, was transported to an area hospital. She was still communicating with EMS, but the extent of her injuries is unknown. Sarcoxie law enforcement says this is a DWI investigation. Well, MoDOT is warning drivers in Jasper County about road work starting today on Route K. According to the Missouri Department of Transportation, crews will begin on a resurfacing project on Jasper County Route K from I-49 at Jasper East, approximately 10.5 miles to Missouri Route 37. Now, MoDOT says work will wrap up on September 20th. Traffic reduced to one lane where contractor crews are laying asphalt. Drivers will encounter flaggers and pilot cars where crews are working. Drivers should wait for the pilot vehicle before proceeding through the work zone or before entering the work zone from a side road. The work will be done during daytime hours, all lanes open to traffic at night. There will be no signed detour, and drivers are encouraged to find alternate routes. MoDOT says the project is part of Governor Parson's Rural Routes program. Now let's check in with Chris for a look at the forecast.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good so far this morning. We got some clouds out there. Our camera downtown Pittsburgh, again, partly cloudy skies, but just enough clearing that we got a pretty good amount of sunlight coming through out there. Our camera 7th and range line. Cloud cover beginning to kind of break up. We did have some sunlight coming in from the east, but that's kind of gotten blocked once again out there. And from the MoDOT camera 20th and range line, you can see we've got clearing gradually taking place, but still some mostly cloudy skies around the city. Fog tracker is looking pretty good. Still some slightly reduced visibility around Iola. We've of course been dealing with that fog around Grand Lake virtually every morning for the last week and a half at this point. So just keep that in mind even for tomorrow morning, that we'll probably be dealing with that once again. Out on the future track into the afternoon, if you are along and east of I-49, between about 2 and 5 is going to be your best window for maybe an isolated shower or two. The rest of us will otherwise be partly cloudy and breezy. East winds gusting upwards of 20 to 25 at times. Sitting at 66 in Joplin, 64 in Pittsburgh, and temperatures around the area look about like this. 60 in Fort Scott as the cool spot. Bentonville still the warm spot at 70, and we're in the low, mid, and upper 60s otherwise across the area. Highs today relatively close to average, mid 80s, and again east of 49. Possibility of an isolated pop-up shower or storm. And we'll have partly cloudy skies, and they'll begin clearing as we go into the evening and overnight hours. The heat is on as we head in the next few days, and we'll talk about that and an upcoming cold front here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, Saturday marked the third day of Chief Star Coxie Days and the event's 75th year, rather. The celebration included a cornhole tournament, a home show, and citizens also got to choose the event's new chief, squaw, and new princess and junior princess as well. There was even an alpaca petting zoo.
Small towns can still exist. Communities are important, and working together is something that we want to make sure happens for years and years to come.
Chief Star Coxie Days wrapped up yesterday at noon after a church service at the town square. Well, Gem City Days happened in Diamond, Missouri Saturday. The celebration included a car show, a parade, a dog show, a bandstand, and much more. The event also had a marketplace for area vendors and also had a wide variety of food for guests to enjoy. And it was a day of celebrations for Diamond because, as well as Gem City Days, Prairie Days was also happening at George Washington Carver National Monument. The Prairie Days showcases the time in which George Washington Carver lived, including some interactive demonstrations like blacksmithing and soap making.
I absolutely love when our visitors come, they see new things. They're actually involved in a lot of our demonstrations. They're here for the music. They're here to talk history and archaeology and meet with the different exhibits here. And they're curious, they're learning, they're finding a connection to George Washington Carver, or they might be learning about a new textile. This truly is a wonderful event.
Diamond Lions Club provided food concessions for Prairie Days. Well, Jomo Pitt Pagan Pride Festival went on in Cunningham Park Saturday. The event had things from dream interpreters to fortune telling. It also featured a kids section called Witchling's Way, where kids could do events like a chalk art contest, painting, and more. The event will end with a new tradition of a community showcase and an open mic. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Walgreens says it will settle lawsuits that claim the drug retailer submitted false payment claims. In Consumer Watch this morning, the United States is in the midst of both hurricane and wildfire seasons. And right now, there are probably a lot of homeowners crossing their fingers, hoping Mother Nature will spare them physically and financially, too. Leah Waldman reports.
As Hurricane Francine slams the Gulf Coast and wildfires rage in the west, 26% of homeowners surveyed by Bankrate say they are not financially ready for a natural disaster.
A lot of insurance companies are starting to exclude certain perils that we're used to having covered.
Shannon Martin, a Bankrate analyst who specializes in insurance, says homeowners in the South and West are most likely to feel unprepared to shoulder the financial burden of extreme weather.
Those homeowners feel a little bit more unprepared because they know kind of what they're heading into.
And while the majority of homeowners surveyed do have insurance, they do not necessarily know if they have adequate coverage.
What type of repairs and updates do I need to make to this home to make it more insurable? Invest in upgrading your roof. If you live somewhere, where there's wildfire, it really can be as simple as making sure the area around your home is free of debris, free of trees and shrubbery that can catch fire easily.
Martin says to pair that information with the realistic extreme weather threats facing your neighborhood today and in the future.
I would suggest going online to an online tool like riskfactor.com or climatecheck.com. Put in either your current address or the address you're thinking of purchasing, and it'll forecast what the next 30 years of extreme weather events will look like in that area.
In New York, I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
Experts are predicting that the Federal Reserve is likely to lower interest rates for the first time in 4 years during its meeting on Wednesday. Now, the Fed has been hinting at possible cuts as inflation drops and the job market cools. Traders are hoping for a bigger than usual slash in rates. And Walgreens says it will pay $106 million to settle lawsuits in Texas, New Mexico, and Florida that claim the drug retailer submitted false payment claims with government programs for prescriptions that were never filled. Now, the company says it's corrected the error and has refunded all overpayments. And Tim Burton's sequel, Beetlejuice, had another big weekend at the box office, selling 51.6 million in tickets, down only 54% compared to its opening weekend. Now, the horror film Speak No Evil nabbed the second spot with just over $11 million, followed by Disney and Marvel's Deadpool and Wolverine, which raked in $5.2 million. The National Institute of Health says about 1 in 7 women in the U.S. suffer postpartum depression within their first year after childbirth, but half of the cases remain undiagnosed due to stigma. In light of all this, a one-of-a-kind retreat for Washington State is working to help postpartum moms. Frankie Catafias reports.
Parenting is a skill, and when there's so much pressure for it to come naturally, we don't even think to look for the resources that are available to us.
That's where UZ Care steps in. The postpartum hotel and retreat is the first of its kind here in Washington, but according to CEO and founder Stephanie Foley, it isn't a new concept.
This exists in Asia and Europe. There's about 7,000 postnatal retreats in Asia, and 80 to 90% of women go to these in Asia.
UZ Care is a part of the lodge at St. Edward Park in Kenmore. From morning yoga to therapy, CPR classes, catered meals to even lactation support, there is something and someone for every new family.
Our team consists of midwives, lactation consultants, IBCLCs, doulas, RNs, and advanced nurse practitioners.
And with amenities from the rooms.
So this is one of our Lodge King rooms. We also have double rooms if the families want to bring their older child.
To the nursery.
So this is where baby will stay when they're with us. And right now this is set up with things that we would normally have in the rooms.
This Army veteran and working mother of 2 created this retreat with one goal in mind.
We want this to be an elevated luxury experience for the family and the mom during a really hard and trying time.
Knowing herself how hard that first year of motherhood can be.
I started this from my own lived experience. After my second kid, I ended up surviving postpartum depression. I talked to hundreds of mothers like around my network and outside, and I would say 1 in 4 to 5 have had some kind of similar experience.
This postpartum hotel and retreat is open to all families, biological, adoptive, or other, from right after birth up to 4 months post-delivery. For expecting families, there are also free events open to explore and see what UZ Care is all about.
And those are our top consumer stories. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:43 on this Monday morning. Hopefully it's off to a pretty good start. Starting with a live look from the MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line in Joplin. Cars are moving right along. We still have some clouds out there, just kind of hampering that sunrise getting through, so a little bit dark to start the day. But we are getting a little more sunshine now in Kansas. KDOT camera 69 in Kansas Crossing. Told you earlier we'd start to see the sunlight right here, and by golly, there it is, and that's going to be that way through the day. We're looking at partly cloudy skies. Now, if you are along and east of I-49 today, best window, at least from what I've seen, is going to be between 2 and 5. There could be an isolated pop-up shower or thunderstorm out there. Nothing severe expected, and anything we see will be very isolated and relatively brief, but there could be that window. Now, the rest of us, though, are just looking at partly cloudy skies, and if you see how fast these windows here are moving, that's going to be breezy today as well. East winds around 5 to 15, gusts upwards of 20, maybe even as high as 25 miles an hour out there. Temperatures will be warm, but they'll be seasonably so. We'll have the clouds clear late this evening. We'll go mostly clear overnight and mostly clear on our Tuesday as well. But temperatures begin to warm. We start getting more of a southerly and southeasterly breeze out there, and temperatures start to go above normal for most of us. We head into our Wednesday. It's another similar story. South-southeast winds out there, a little bit gusty at times as well. We'll bring in even warmer weather, and we'll continue to heat up as we head through this week ahead of a cold front that's going to make an appearance a little later and bring us some slightly better temperatures. 66 in Joplin, breezes east at 7 miles an hour with those mostly cloudy skies. Across the area, temperatures not bad. The warm spot now goes to Anderson, up to 71, and we've got 61s in Iola and Fort Scott. We've kind of had a 10-degree spread all morning, so low, mid, upper 60s, and now starting to see some lower 70s out there as well. For most of us, we're looking to be about the mid 60s by 8 o'clock, partly cloudy skies through the morning, upper 70s by 11. And as we head into the afternoon, again, partly cloudy skies. We'll have the opportunity for that isolated shower or storm along and east of 49. Otherwise, dry, warm, mid-80s out there, and of course, breezy. As we head into the evening, once those thunderstorm chances kind of clear out, the clouds will follow suit as well. Mostly clear skies through the evening and overnight. Upper 60s by 10, lows in the low to mid-60s. Then, we talked about it last week because it was showing up then. It's still showing up now, and that's some great news because it's going to help out just a little bit. Before then, and by the way, I'm talking about a cold front. But before it gets here, hot, low 90s starting tomorrow all the way through Friday. Ahead of the front, some isolated pop-up showers and thunderstorms. Also means it's going to be a little muggier, a little more uncomfortable out there. Those continue all the way into next Monday, but as we get through the weekend, that cold front pushes on through. We're down to the low 80s for Sunday and Monday. Are even looking at the upper 70s by next Tuesday and Wednesday, so looking pretty darn good out there, especially compared to what we're going to see this week. Let's check your forecast. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Well, New York City has a new stage in an unlikely place, a vacant newsstand in the subway.
Bradley Blackburn takes us there and explains why it's part of a mission to put emptied storefronts to good use.
There's not much that can slow the motion in a New York City subway station, but live music stops many in their tracks. Deep underground, this is a dedicated stage with a custom painted backdrop built in a space that was once a newsstand.
When someone comes up the stairs, boom, sound booth is right there.
Musician Gabriel Aldort says it's a perfect place to play.
Just getting people to snap out of their day-to-day, you know?
For decades, newsstands have helped people pass the time with reading material, but they've struggled in recent years as habits change.
The issues with retail in the subway mirror what's happening at storefronts above ground and across the country.
More than 5,000 stores have closed in the U.S. this year. That's up 45% compared to a year ago. Filling empty retail space can take time. It's why former teacher Barbara Anderson created Art on the Ave in New York, the nonprofit organization behind this subway stage.
I had noticed the vacancies even before the pandemic, but when the pandemic happened, it really became sort of dire.
They've turned other empty storefronts into temporary galleries, touching more than 90 sites throughout the city. Art and music to turn what could be blight into a bright moment.
They just feel better about whatever's going on in their life.
And as business models change, still keep spaces alive.
Well, New York's subway system has offered 30 vacant retail spaces to arts and culture groups rent-free.
Certainly impressive, and it's great to see those old places
Yeah.
put to some kind of
yeah.
use. It looks better than walking by an empty storefront, for sure. And
Super cool.
It's enjoyable.
Yes,
it's a
absolutely.
pleasant experience to head down to the subway. I've never been on one, but still, I'm sure
Yeah.
it makes it better. And I'm going to try and make your day better with a little bit of sunshine out there, and we can see that from our camera downtown Pittsburgh. As the sun's rising, we've got partly cloudy skies in Pittsburgh. However, as we cross state lines, we've had mostly cloudy skies in Joplin. They are beginning to clear up just a bit. Unfortunately, off to the east, still kind of blocking that sunrise, so a little bit of it looks dark and dreary, but it really isn't, and it won't be either. MoDOT camera, 20th and Rangeline. It's like I said earlier, it's like the spaceships in Independence Day, but now it's starting to move to the north and to the east, and we're starting to see clearing out to the west. And there's that clearing too. KDOT camera 69 Kansas Crossing. Ample sunshine is what's visible out there this morning. Future track for today, as we've mentioned, if you are along into the east of I-49, we could see an isolated shower or thunderstorm out there. The majority of us will be dry and breezy. East winds 5 to 15, gusting upwards of 20 to 25 at times. Mostly clear skies tonight and into our Tuesday, but Tuesday kicks off a warming stretch out there. Quick look at temperatures. We're not doing too bad so far. 66 in Joplin, east breeze at around 6 miles an hour. And around the area, we've had about a 10-degree spread of temperatures all morning. 61s, Iola, Fort Scott, 71, the warm spot in Anderson, and in between those low, mid, and upper 60s. We get our day started again for most of us, mid 60s, partly cloudy skies. We'll warm up to the upper 70s, pushing close to 80 by 11 o'clock this morning. So again, we'll have average temperatures today. The heat is on for the rest of the week, and then we get a cold front. It's really going to shake things up for us. We'll go over those details as well as the news you need to know right after this.
Well, here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. MoDOT is warning drivers in Jasper County about road work starting today on Route K. Crews will begin on a resurfacing project on Jasper County Route K from I-49 at Jasper East. MoDOT says work will wrap up on September 20th. Now, traffic reduced to one lane and drivers should wait for the pilot vehicle before proceeding through the work zone. There will be no signed detour. Drivers are encouraged to find alternate routes, and MoDOT says the project is part of Governor Parson's Rural Routes program. Well, Pittsburgh State University kicks off Hispanic Heritage Month with its first Hispanic Music Festival yesterday in the Bicknell Center for the Arts. The Hispanic Banda performance is one of many that'll take place throughout September and October. Some songs performed yesterday by the banda include Bella Ciao, Funky Town, and more. Special guest performances took place throughout the festival. Adult Literacy, a nonprofit organization that helps adults learn to read and increase basic literacy skills, announced it has received a $10,000 grant from the U.S. Bank Foundation. Now, the grant will be used to support vibrant adult literacy programs as well as begin a quarterly financial literacy class through U.S. Bank. A check presentation took place yesterday at the MSSU soccer field, and U.S. Bank Community Affairs Manager said, quote, "We're proud to work with organizations like NALA Adult Literacy to help gain greater financial literacy and build thriving communities."
And we've got temperatures about average today, mid-80s out there, partly cloudy skies, east winds gusting upwards of 20, 25 miles an hour, and along and east of I-49, perhaps a stray shower or thunderstorm. Mostly clear late evening and overnight, back in the low to mid-60s. And we'll be heating up starting tomorrow, low 90s all the way through at least Friday. Cold front this weekend, though, brings us some shower and thunderstorm chances out there. And then temperatures start to fall, low 80s Sunday and Monday, upper 70s next Tuesday and Wednesday.
Righty. Well, in Brazil, a tech takes to the air to help new reforesting seeding to get needed life on the ground. Seeding drones are being used in Rio de Janeiro to help drop tree seeds and get trees to sprout up where deforestation has taken place. Rio de Janeiro has suffered brutal heat waves, and land damage is also multiplied by torrential rain and landslides.
Now, authorities say the drones speed up the planting process and help access hard-to-reach areas and hillsides in the city. New trees help in lowering temperatures and preventing the landslides, and those drones can seed 50 hectares a day, or the equivalent of about 50 soccer fields.
Wow.
That's a
of work
lot
done.
of seeding going on.
Yeah, great to see.
And it is great. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is fantastic. Get some reforestation done. Drones, you know, AI is one thing, but drones, on the other
Yeah.
hand, have proved their helpfulness more than once. So.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you all so much for letting us put the good into your morning. We will be back today with more news and weather at noon.
Have a great rest of your morning.